Hey everyone, Sly47 here, and as you can see, I've got PigBay with me. How you doing, PigBay? Yeah,
I'm
you.
all right.
You all
This
right?
guy?
Go. It's good. It's
I'm all
good.
right. Just
Awesome.
hanging out.
I know. Hey, this is gonna be a fun podcast, and we are talking, of course, about all tier 10s right here. We have all of them with us. It's gonna be a blast, but first, let's quickly go through rankings. Top and meta, these are ships that are in perfect mint condition, great for just about everything, and they handle almost everything from competitive to random battles. They're just great. They're in great condition. Competitive, these are ships that are also in a very good position, but they have like an issue. But they're slight, they're small. I really do believe they're still in a good position. Good right here. These are ships that have just about everything to be good, but they're missing something. You can clearly tell it in comparison to the other ships. Well, then you got playable. These are ships that just, sure, if you want them, if they're your playstyle, you might enjoy them. Other than
hmm
that, no, they need a little bit of help, but not as much as other categories. Niche, these are ships that play the gambit depending on your team, depending on how you play, all the other sorts, but in general, they still need a little bit of help, but they have that niche that they obviously aren't in the final category, which is needs love. These are ships that almost everyone knows what's in them, anyways, what's in this category. So these are ships, don't grind them right now. They are just in piss poor condition. I think I articulated that well, right, PigBay?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Pretty much.
that was pretty good. Shall we?
Awesome. Perfect. So first up, we have the Alexander Nevsky PigBay. What's your thoughts on it?
From what I don't own it. Haven't grinded it out yet. Still need to work on that. From what I heard, it's good where it's at, especially after some of the buffs that it received. But I don't think it's quite there yet. I think it's just that good. That's kind of my thoughts there. I know you actually own it and you've played it, so what do you think?
So I would actually argue that it's within the competitive or the top meta. I think it barely breaks into that top meta. The only problem that it has is that mobility, because it's got the range, it's got HE that's really good, it's got AP that's really good, it's got all the different settings for it. It really is a all-around amazing flamethrower at tier 10, but then it's got that devastating AP as well. So, like, I see the good, though. Like, it's one of those things I think we might just want to, like, I don't know, would you agree with competitive? Because really, it doesn't have that many flaws. It's pretty good.
Like I said, I haven't played it, so my other thing that I'm basing this off of too is what I see when I play tier 10. I don't really see a lot of Alexander Nevsky's getting picked up. Does that have radar? I can't remember.
It has one radar.
Okay, one radar. I mean, that's better than
Yeah.
some of the other ships there, but
Yeah.
it could be competitive. Again,
Okay.
I don't have much experience with it, so
Yeah, so when you have it in a good player's hands, or at least a player that understands it needs to play at range, it's incredibly competitive. If you try to knife fight with it, it's not very maneuverable, so you're gonna die. So these are definitely ranged fighters, but they have the accuracy to back that up, where you can land your AP. It's not Stalingrad level or Moskva level, but you basically can land your AP wherever you want on a ship, and that's just good enough. So even if you're not wanting to start fires, you pretty much can do it. So depending on the person, of course, you're going to kind of juggle between that. But I'd generally say in good players' hands, it's top or meta. But for average player, probably more competitive to good. So, taking in your side. Now, we actually have a new ship here, PigBay, with the Blk Shimkaze. It is a Shimkaze class, first and foremost.
So
It's not released yet. It's an FYI. Like, we know barely anything about this.
yeah, I don't know what skills it's gonna have, but just the fact that I'm assuming it has the same amount of torps, same amount of damage those torps are gonna have.
Probably.
I'm gonna say honestly good because it's a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
But it's good at that one trick that it does. Not my favorite to play. I know a lot of people like them, but yeah, it's just it doesn't bring utility in my opinion, and has slow reloading torps. So
Yeah, I think that's basically going to be the exact same thing with the General Shimkaze. It's just such a good at that one trick pony that it sits in good, And even a really good player, of course, will bring out the best in it. But the problem is it's lacking in so many other departments that it holds itself from being top or meta or competitive because it just doesn't quite. When it doesn't have those torps, it's really lackluster. So even if they add, God forbid, torpedo reload 1 or something on it or something, it's still you just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing if they give it like a radar or something ridiculous, then then you got some utility. So, but it all depends on what it's gonna have. But in my mind, knowing what I know about the Shimkaze, it's gonna be in good.
Yeah, definitely. But Blk Yamato. I think this kind of came down and kind of splashed in, kind of just as a sister ship to the Yamato. Would you say, kind of just like side grade?
Yeah, it does have a really nice looking camo though.
Okay, so
what is it called?
Camo makes it top tier meta. I get it.
Yes, bro. There's like gold flake coming off of it. It looks really good.
It is cool. It is cool.
It looks really good, but it does have the spotter plane. It doesn't have the precise aim, so it's not as accurate as Yamato. But that spotter plane can be quite useful. It's like a poor man's radar a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And adds more range.
Yeah, and add in Yamato's already pretty deadly accurate. That precise aim is really just overkill at long range to make sure that everything hits. Without it, it's still hitting at least over half its shells on target, which at max range for Yamato is, 14, 15 kilometers, right? Something like that. It's long.
It's like
isn't it?
16, I think.
Yeah, it's even higher than that. I'm obviously not a battleship player much. So I would definitely say at very least, Yamato, it's more competitive. I do believe the regular Yamato is a little bit better just because of that precise aim. You're able to hit more targets. It's a sister ship, and also you don't have to grind for it. You just have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But
you could say, is that better than getting a free one?
Yeah, no, I don't know. But we'll find out. Bourgogne. Do you have the ship?
I have it on the press account, and honestly, I do like the Bourgogne. The Bourgogne?
Bourgogne. I know I'm actually saying this one correctly.
I don't know.
For once.
All right. But I do like it. I think it's really good. Even though it has 381s, I would definitely put it in competitive. It's a lot of fun. I wish I had got it on the main account when I had it, there was a chance, but I did not. So hopefully, one day in the shipyard, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled.
Oh, yeah,
but
definitely.
Yeah, I'm definitely competitive.
So I would agree on competitive. The armor is what really stops it. It is this more light battleship, but it's similar to that of the Christopher Colombo. Just it has so many guns. Even though they're smaller, that just does a lot of damage to targets. And you got rapid reload on top of that. You got the speed to it. So it's a incredibly powerful ship. It definitely is. It lives it perfectly in competitive. But anything else to say? No. Buffalo. Where are you thinking on this one?
I'm thinking Buffalo between good and playable, honestly. What I like the Buffalo, it does have a lot of firepower. You got the Moines guns plus 3 extra.
Yep.
So really good, especially with I think when it first came out, it had rapid reload 1, but then they ended up buffing it to 2, right?
Yep.
So definitely spits out damage. The only thing that I would say is that it has no utility. And we've talked about it before. We really want this thing to have sonar. I think sonar would be chef's kiss.
Yep.
Little smoochy smooth for the chef, That's what I think it's missing. But if I had to put it between playable and good, I'm going to say playable.
Playable. Here, I'm going to disagree with you on that. I'm going to mostly say good.
You're going to say good?
Yes, because it is a lot of damage. It's a great fire starter because now you have even more fire starting ability to the Des Moines. Its maneuverability allows you to still hunt DDs, and its firepower allows you to annihilate them, especially since it was given rapid reload too. Now, of course, I would argue once it's given sonar, yes, it's in competitive, but it's definitely in a good shape. It's just not in a great shape.
Yeah.
Like
that, how many charges of sonar do you think it should have?
Actually, I only think 1, because you already have AA on it, so you're already going to get it from that first skill. for a commander.
It'll
You're
get
now
the
going to
two
have
charges.
2, and I think that's perfect. I think, especially when sonar is more, it's not as utilized as people. I feel like people say it is.
It's more defensive.
Yeah. It's defensive, or you're pushing in specifically on DDs in smoke so you can spot them and root them out, basically. So it's definitely, the Buffalo really needs that sonar, but overall, I think it's in a good shape just because you do have that much firepower and you burn stuff down. I think I averaged like 50, 60 in this, and I know players that average 70, 80 in it that are much better players than me, and it's a solid ship, but it is, of course, losing that utility that the Des Moines has. And Des Moines only has 1 less gun, but it does have rapid reload 3, much better AA, so, but then again, I think Buffalo has longer range from remembering too.
I think it's like very negligible.
But at the same time,
it's like point something.
Oh, it is? Okay, I'll have to think about it. But to me, it's just that extra gun helps so much. So, especially with rapid reload 3, but to a DD that's not a DD, the Colbert. What do you think of PigBay?
I'm thinking niche. Because this thing has no armor. It's pretty huge, but its niche thing that I'm gonna say it's really good at is fucking wiping DDs out with AP. That is fun. But again, that's very, very small. It's a small niche. It has quick firing guns, but your fire chance isn't really, the best.
No, it's not. In my opinion, especially with niche, is that I think it really depends on the player. I'm going to agree with you on niche, but I will say for people who know how to play DDs and know how to play gunboat DDs specifically, the Colbert easily ranks up in good. Because you have that HE, and as much as that fire chance is low, and yes, you only get like 4 or 5 fires with like 400 hits, you can still, with the accuracy of it, land a crap ton of AP shells on superstructures. If this was just me, I'd put it in good. But with the, once again, with the idea that you have to be a good player that knows how to do it, especially since, at max range, Vermont can shoot, and you could be dead stop, hit your engine accelerator, and move forward and dodge the entire salvo. Yeah. This thing is stupidly nimble, but it requires a lot of playstyles. But I'm not, I don't know, with niche, it's depending on how you view niche. To me, niche is definitely one of those ships that it's just a particular playstyle. But then overall, in a good player, it's a good ship. So, I don't know. Anything else you want to add on the Colbert?
Nope.
Nope. Conqueror. You want me to take this, or you take it?
You take it, because I haven't really played Conqueror.
So, in my opinion, the Conqueror is playable. But if you know that you don't just shoot HE out of these things, it's good.
Also, if you have one of the legendary commanders that add the heal. So yes. I think we have 2 of them, right? We have
Nelson,
Horatio, Nelson, and then
Jellicoe. Isn't Jellicoe? Because Jellicoe also gives it to the cruisers.
No, that's BD. BD has the extra heal.
Oh, BD has extra heal? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which, I mean, if you forgo, you can put BD on there because it does have armor piercing cap shell plus, which will help out, and the heal. You just got to forego that smoke, which doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, but, no, the Conqueror, it really is in between these. It's just, do you have the legendary commander and like that, and also do you shoot anything other than HE? Because if you do, then the Conqueror it's definitely a good ship. It definitely needs that 4th heal, or it needs a special heal. Come on, Wargaming.
Yeah. Or I mean, even if you're shooting HE, if you're platooning with fire starting ships, then you guys can synergize very well. Halland with your freaking torpedoes getting floods almost every time, and then Smolensk, of course, any carrier.
Oh yeah, Malta.
Exactly. Let's talk about that.
I don't really think we need to say anything because Conqueror is just good. It's a good all-rounder. Even with the HE, you'll still do good, but it definitely feels more playable when you, of course, go against other battleships. So,
yeah.
Daring. I'm gonna let you take this.
Uh,
DD.
I would say competitive, but top if there's no carrier.
So
So it has a lot of utility. Some of the best, quick firing guns. Torps don't reload that bad. You can single fire the torps, but I normally just spread them out anyway, so who cares? But the problem is, especially with playing DD at tier 10, if you're not Holland, you're not stopping any carrier. And the carrier, even if he doesn't attack you, is going to keep you spotted all the time. And then other people are going to shoot at you, especially if you're against like good players. Yeah, I've been struggling lately with DD because of this. There's a carrier meta going around, and I don't like it.
yeah, definitely.
Don't like it. So, but still, great ship, very competitive ship. Without a carrier, I would say it's top.
So I would actually say, even with a carrier, it's top. Because just everything it brings to the table, it's almost similar to like Worcester, is it brings so much to the table that it is clearly better than most other DDs on this list. And add on top of it that even in a carrier game, and you have to be running up against good carriers. There's so many other contentions to that. Do you have more AA ships on there that you can work with? But the nimbleness, you can dodge so many torps with this thing because it just turns on a dime. And then let alone its guns are actually incredibly solid going after other DDs. You just got a lot going for you. I think it's just overall incredibly good, especially even if we are in a carrier meta. I think that even when we exit the carrier meta, the Daring's still just going to move. It's just going to solidify its top meta position.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm probably not going to put a lot of DDs in top or meta just because I've been having a rough go at it lately.
Yeah.
I mean, carriers is just one of those classes, man. But I can definitely agree. Competitive and then top and meta when there is no carrier. That is my standing. I'll let you put it where you want.
I'm going to put it in top just because it really is just the king of DDs in terms of damage, especially if you can land all those torps in one line, which if you are a good player, you can obviously just predict where someone's going to, hey, I'm going to slow down. Well, then they slow down right into those torps. It's just devastating, and it just brings so much to it, and that's... I think I'm going to agree with you. I don't think there is another DD in the topper meta area, and it's just because that nimbleness. You're able, like, even if the carrier is bombing you and everything like that, those torpedo bombers are probably going to miss most. They're not going to hit you because you're just that nimble. Now, of course, with a very good CC, or CV player, they're still going to hit, but that's just good CV players. You're just screwed anyways in any other ship that you bring. Anyways, so you could have a Worcester completely AA maxed out. Doesn't matter with those good CV players. So, now to a ship, Des Moines. PigBay, have you played this much? Do you want it?
I have. Yeah, I do. I would say good, borderline competitive because of the utility. So obviously the AA is not as good as Worcester, but it's still very respectable. Like. Yeah. Especially if you match it up with other ships, say you want to like kind of defend your Montana from getting struck all the time. Both of your combined A probably will stop those attacks. Not only that, damage output's really good. It has rapid reload 3 or 2? I can't remember off the top.
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
So yeah, this thing does spit out damage, especially if you got AP loaded and you're firing at other cruisers, Smolensk, you're gonna be getting citadels. Say you're shooting at battleships at range. Go ahead and start lighting fires. So, I mean, you have radar as well. If you got the special captain, you got 2 charges of radar.
Kincaid, yep.
There's a lot of utility.
There is a lot of utility, but I'm gonna say I would agree with barely good. I'd probably more put it in playable just because of the range. Because I do believe we are having to start, because of the carriers, we're starting to have more of a range meta. People are wanting to stay back, bunch up. And I feel like I've been seeing more flanker, like groups of people flanking and everything like that, that while the Des Moines is the ultimate capped defender and like that, it barely ekes into good for me. just because there's so many ships that can outrange it. And yeah, its guns are devastating, but those arcs will kill it at range. It's just, let alone a small lens will kill it even at range. It really needs a little bit of love, but it's still, like, depending on what you're running into, it's still in a good shape. I enjoy it. So, now to our newest one, Elbing. I know you're grinding it. Are you to it yet?
No, I'm not even. I'm still on tier 8, which is the goose stuff. But I have played it. Okay. I think playable niche. I'd say more playable.
Really?
The thing is, you got to play this at range, especially with that AP. You can do some devastating damage to DDs, but the keyword is at range. But not only that, you can do damage to a bunch of cruisers, battleship noses, and sterns and superstructures. So, yeah, if you play it at range the way it's supposed to be played, a lot better. The torps, they have long range. They're just slow. Use them as zoning torps.
Yeah.
But again, playable, borderline niche is my opinion.
So I'd go playable, borderline needs love.
Okay.
Because in my opinion, I think those torps need to be a little faster. just a tad. Okay, they are.
Yep. You'd be surprised how many times I've hit torps, just because people decide to turn back in. They're like, oh, torps aren't coming, and then all of a sudden they have these mines coming at them at like 3 knots.
Yeah. But I've played the Elbing, and when you do play it the way you said it, if you can really adhere to that, it's pretty good. But don't let DDs get too close to you, because now you'll start overpenning them with your AP, because APCS does that to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't run armor piercing capsule on it, just because I want to use my AP at a little bit closer distance against the DDs.
Yeah, but it definitely needs a good bit. Not as much as other ships in the need love category, but it's barely eking out of there, just because it does have actually really good guns. So I completely agree with you on that one. So I don't know about niche, just because it's just like, I think its guns kind of just work as a traditional gunboat and like that, and the torpedoes are more spammy, area of denial, as you said.
Yeah.
So it does work, but it definitely needs a lot of work. But gearing, do you have this? I believe you do, don't you?
Yeah, gearing, I would say, is like I do. Is an all-arounder. I would say good. It's not bad, especially if you're running the legendary mod. You do lose a little. What was it? I can't remember off the top of my head, but you gain with the legendary mod. You gain range on your torpedoes and torpedo speed.
Yep.
And you only lose like a little bit. I think it's like reload or something. I can't remember. But I think it's
reload.
Yeah. So it's not that bad. It makes it very competitive, and you have great guns, so you can definitely knife fight other DDs. It's very maneuverable, and long-lasting smokes.
Oh yeah. So I completely agree with good. It's really the standard do-it-all DD. It does everything, and I think that's a perfect position for it. I think the legendary module is better for it than running a reload mod, because I just don't feel like the guns work as well, especially now with the Grozovoi in the game now being, in my opinion, its Russian cousin. That is, of course, it just works well as just being that gunboat. So I think that's definitely good. Not to spoil anything now, but gearing definitely is in a very good position. I think realistically, to make it competitive, and I've said this all the time, it needs it's actually I don't know if you'll understand this reference, but the Axton buff that happened in Borderlands 2, where basically it was just a plus 3% on every single stat. It just needs a little bit better on everything, like minor small things, but you're only going to feel it overall. So a little faster reload, little faster turning, little faster speed, little like this. I think it just needs that bump, boom, right into competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Okay. Maybe you give it something to give it a little more utility, but
that's true. Maybe make it the first tech tree 4-skill ship. I thought the Elbing was actually going to be the one that would actually have 4 skills on it to make up for it just having crappy torpedoes, but that didn't actually end up happening. Let's talk about the Grosser Kurfurst. It just recently got changed. Don't have it. Have you played on your press account?
No, because remember, my press account doesn't have a lot of resources on there right now. So
man, I'm sorry.
I can't get these tech tree ships.
Oh,
It's more of an
yeah.
early access account, really.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But Kurfurst, I think it's good. It's just good. Its change up really made it more of a mid range fighter rather than the brawler that it used to be. So now it's definitely you stay at longer ranges, and then if someone happens to get into your area, yeah, you got decent secondaries. They'll do something to it, but overall, I think the Kurfurst just sits in good. I think it definitely needs to kind of get changed up to a little bit more range or a little bit better at that more longer range fighting, because of course we do have the shorter range battlecruiser style German battleships coming in. So
Honestly, what I would like to see is just kind of like a secondary rework. You know what I mean? Because in my opinion, they just miss way too often, like
yeah,
to be reliable. Like those auto secondaries, they need to change something because it's hard for them to engage like a target that's not like a battleship.
yeah,
That's moving away from you or moving towards you.
yeah.
It struggles so with those things. So yeah, there needs to be a change up. Hopefully, when these new German battle cruisers come out, because they're on PC, they're known for their secondaries, but not all the time. There's not a lot of time that PC translates well to Blitz.
No, and I really wish that even if they come in and they've got actually pretty decent secondaries, I think the Kurfurst should also have amazing secondaries. German ships should really be those ships you do not get close in anything. You have to stay at range. Once they get you in their range, it basically should be all hell let loose on you, and it should be a horrifying experience right back to port. But overall, it's just one of those things that they're just not scary enough. They're not.
No.
When a DD can still go up and YOLO torp you, that's the problem. I'm like, that's not how that should be.
What I think secondary should be is what Napoli was when we got first released to us. Oh, that was so good.
Oh God, I wish people would have been to experience that. That was beautiful. Nothing could get within what was it, 6 kilometers.
Yeah, no DD could ever approach you. It was the best.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yep. And that's how they should feel, is they should be incredibly scary when they're close up, but it's like, hey, make Kurfurst the longer range engagement, then make the new battlecruisers, that 11 kilometers, stay within a little closer, and you actually have to do it more Palmerin or Prussian type. But the Kurfurst needs some buffs. It is still pretty good, but it's just nothing close to other ships.
Yeah.
Now to our first lovely one, Goliath.
Oh, that's definitely top and competitive, whatever. Now.
If Alistair is playing it.
Yeah, it depends. I don't own it. I don't plan on owning it until some major changes happen to it. So I'm gonna put it at needs love. It keeps getting buffed, but the buffs aren't enough. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Oh man.
It needs love.
Oh,
it needs a whole lot of love.
It needs a lot. If you have Jellicoe, it's playable. Just because it can increase your health so you can survive long enough to do something in the battle. But yeah, no, needs love, definitely. It is not, it's not great. It needs a lot, and when you need to have a legendary commander that's actually kind of rarer to get, because of course you can get Kincaid, Hipper, and so many different bundles and other things. It's just one of those things that it needs a lot of range, and it needs a few other buffs into it too. I want it to be more of that pocket battleship, not this smoky. Like, we already have the sneaky side. Let's make the all hell let loose, you're on fire. Also, by the way, the AP is strong, the armor is strong, like everything like that. It just doesn't work. So
yeah.
But anything else?
No. I was gonna just say that, like, on PC, that is good. The Goliath line is good on there, but there's different mechanics. You know what I mean? Like arm angling and stuff like that over there.
Yeah.
Which we don't have here. So.
And HE no pen, and let that note not doing damage. We always get it to do damage here. So, yep. Golden Lion or Gouden Leeuw?
I'm gonna call it Golden Lion.
Okay.
I would say. Kind of between playable and niche. It's one niche is that it has airstrikes, right?
Yep.
Greatly powerful.
Oh yeah.
You can spot DDs with it. You can't spam it as you can the 7 province, but again, you could still spot DDs. But the problem is the range. especially if you're on like Golden Channel, you can't sit at one end of the cap and bomb the other side. You just don't have the range for it.
Yeah.
So in situations like that, all you can really rely on is the guns, and the guns aren't bad. Guns, you know, I tend to fire armor piercing a lot with them.
Yeah.
But they're pretty good. But would put it playable, I guess. Yeah.
So I'm going to argue niche because of those range issues. We already have the range issues in the Goliath, but also let's add in the ability to not defend yourself against DDs.
Yeah.
The Golden Lion, you cannot defend yourself at all. It's HE sucks. Its AP is really good. You can Citadel battleships, you can handle all that stuff, but the moment a Shimkaze decides you're going to die, that sucker's going to leave with over half their health, and you're going to feel like you've done nothing to it. You can't stop it.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, yes, you still have those airstrikes, but the range issues, they need to buff the range on this thing, on that. And then I guess there are secondary batteries on it, so I think it would make sense just to activate those. Just make those work, and now I think it would go right into good. Because now you have enough range to bomb across, Golden Channel or Cage, I should say, Cage with those. You should be the ultimate, hey, I'm going to stop the bullcrap of center control Cage. This should be the Golden Lion's, like, peak strength. And it just doesn't do it. So it's borderline needs love, but its niche is good because when you hit all those bombs on a battleship, that can drop 13, 14k worth of damage on it, and that is insane. So I would definitely, I think he definitely sits well in niche. So great call on that.
And you can definitely make like a comp with it. You know what I mean? A fire starting comp. Again, the usual suspects: Conqueror, Smolensk, Halland, any carrier except for Richthofen or whatever.
Yeah, Richthofen. Yeah. Now, actually, this recently got a buff, and I'd love to know your opinions on this. The Grozovoi.
I haven't played Grozovoi yet. I'm still on Udaloy, but I love the Udaloy. But I haven't played it, so I've just heard things. I've heard that it's pretty solid all around boat now.
Yeah.
So if I had to put it without knowing much about it, I'd say good.
Yeah. So just like earlier, it's now the Gearing's cousin, just gun focused instead of torp focused. The torps just spread so far, so they tend to be kind of that mixture of a Gearing's where, like, at the end of it, it's a nice spread out. So, like, literally, of course, if you're hitting a Kearsarge at max range broadside, you're going to hit all of your torpedoes. But with the Grozovoi, it's just so huge. With the Grozovoi, you've got about that, but a little wider, so you might miss one or two. But still, they're good torpedoes. It's a good gunboat. The AP's insane. The HE's insane. It's accurate at all get out. And plus, once again, you got those Russian ballistics. I would just say, realistically, if you're more, torp focused, Gearing. If you're more gun focused, Grozovoi. They're now in both really good shape.
Yep.
It's just Gearing's much better at knife fight and stay at range with Grozovoi. don't knife fight. I've learned the failures, but if it's a great line too. Granted, you're at Udaloy. I love it. You love it. It's just an amazing solid ship. So just think about it as just a skills upgrade and a general upgrade. It's almost a side grade if you want to say up to tier 10, but at the same time it's now worthy. At least it was horrible before this with this recent update. So
out of the Russian DDs, especially because you got that Kava line, I personally like the Grozovoi line a lot more.
Yeah, no, it's definitely in better shape, and as much as I love the Kiev, I can also say it's not in good shape either. But yep. So now we have carriers. We got our first one, the Hakuryu. What is your opinion on this, PigBay?
Ooh, all right. So this is the thing. I say it's top tier meta, but it has to be in the hands of someone that knows what they're doing. If you can hit those torps, this thing beats out every other carrier. I don't care who it is. It is, even to this day, I will say top tier. But a majority of the players, can't really hit the torps, especially after, I don't know if you remember, they changed the recall button so that, basically you would recall and then drop your torps again. It would use full speed to, turn, and you'd be able to get these nice quick drops. Can't really do that now. So a lot of people haven't been playing it because of that, but it's still nasty. It's still very nasty.
I think just because of the amount of squadrons you get and the amount of bull crap you can do with those squadrons, I'd go top.
The thing is, you have to be really good, because it's a lot to manage. It's a lot of, you got to manage 2 fighters, you got to manage 2
2 dive bombers and 3.
But it's 2 torpedo bombers.
Okay, 2. And then I thought it was 3 dive bombers, or is it 3 torp bombers?
No,
I can't even remember. I don't play it.
It's 2 fighters, 2 dive bombers, and then 2 torpedo bombers.
Oh, I thought it was 3 of something, but never mind. That's me.
No,
that's me not knowing carriers. Surprise, surprise.
That's Richthofen. Richthofen has
3 dive bombers. Yeah, 3 dive bombers. Yeah. No, the Hakuryu just of course carriers play the entire gambit on this, depending on the player behind it. But if you're even half decent, the Hakuryu is going to be insane. You can just destroy the team. It's insane, and let alone deplaning it. Good luck. It's got so much in reserve that I've even had a Worcester game where I've taken 48 planes on it, and the sucker still killed me. Like, it's just it has way too much. So the Hakuryu is an incredibly strong ship, especially in good hands. Plus the legendary mod I actually heard was actually pretty good from the last tier maker that I did, or one of the last ones that I did. So yeah, I'd agree. But once again, player's gonna make it where it stands. So now Holland. This one will actually be kind of interesting. I want to see exactly your thoughts on it, because we have some passionate people in this community that talk about Holland.
So Holland isn't my favorite. I only play it for its AA when I see that there's a bunch of carriers queuing up. So I'm gonna say between good and competitive. I mean, it also depends on what you're fighting too.
Yeah.
It could work really well in a comp, as I've stated before, because you get those floods, the guns, you can get fires going. It does have radar, so there's utility. There's no smoke, so you can't really disengage very well. Speed's not the greatest. It's a little on the slow side. Maneuverability, I think it's all right. Not the best, not the worst.
It's a light cruiser, pretty much. It doesn't have that maneuverability.
Top tier AA for a DD. Like, if you play DD and like playing DD, but take carriers at tier 10, this is the DD that you play. So I think final answer, good. That's what I'm leaving it. Yeah, so because you got to remember too, it has the armor. It can arm battleship shells pretty easily. Like, I've been just smacked around like a schoolgirl by Vermont. So, it's just one of those things you got to worry about.
Oh yeah. So I'd say borderline competitive, and it mostly depends on the player. I'm gonna agree with good, just because of it is a very powerful. If you can get if you want to get Witherers, this is the ship line for you to get. It's incredibly fun to play because you are not just playing the game, you are also playing a numbers game of, okay, who's on cooldown, who's not, who do I need to be firing my guns at, who do I need to be sending my torps off at, because it just has everything going on for it. But you have to also be able to handle those low damage torpedoes. You have to manage cooldowns. You have to manage a carriers that, of course, will still get through your AA. It's powerful, but it's not Worcester level, but it is definitely at least usable AA on a DD, which is saying something. But overall, it's barely into competitive, depending on, especially if you have Jersey Swirsky. If you got Swirsky, it's competitive, definitely. But in general, player hands, I think good's about right. It's, once again, that armor will get you killed a lot, but if you can play this right and play the the Witherer game, you can rack up 80-90k by 4 or 5 minutes in, and just watches the enemies just like, I'm on fire 3 times and flooding. Why did I use it on one fire? It's a fun ship line. Yeah, and I know some people play it incredibly well, so I think it definitely sits in the good category. It definitely, I almost want to say almost like 5 seconds off its torpedo reload, and I think it would be really good on the damage area. And then just bump its AA by double, and it'll be perfect.
Yeah. Give everything good AA.
Everything good AA, like a 30% buff.
It's a solid support ship,
Yeah. It does just about everything. So, now, Harugumo actually got a recent buff for the range, but what is your thoughts, PigBay?
So I'm currently at Kitakaze, slowly working it. Harugumo, I would say hovers between good and playable, honestly. I would say more playable.
I'm gonna push you down to playable on this one, but if you want to keep on,
Yeah.
or I can explain it too. Like,
so it's a big destroyer. Doesn't maneuver that well. You got one rack of torps, but you got a torp reload, and the torps do hit hard. So it's not like it's the Halland where people don't really worry too much about your torps.
oh yeah,
These are torps that will kill you. The gun's amazing. Fire starter through and through. My thing is, I wish this thing had better A. I really do.
It doesn't make sense that it has such bad AA either, because they're dual purpose guns, and we have dual purpose guns on other things that have insane AA. So why is this the exception? But I think it's just the death by 1,000 cuts doesn't work incredibly well in Blitz. It's kind of almost the opposite of the Elbing, where the Elbing, you've got that awesome AP, you can just chunk at times.
Yeah, this has alpha.
You half the time you're trying to shoot, and this is actually something that I wish Blitz would take from another game, is that you should be able to press the fire button and move your aim while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was so, the Harugumo would be a lot better, because you need the shell arcs are orbital almost, so you have to keep on adjusting it. But if you've got a BB sitting in the back and you're just sitting in your smoke, you can just rack up 400 hits on that BB in quick nature. It is a fun ship, but it's just once again, I think the maneuverability and yeah, it's got torps, but those guns just really rip it apart, unfortunately. So playable, I'd agree with that. Yeah. Anything else for Harugumo?
No, I think we pretty much mentioned everything.